I have fibromyalgia. Fibro referring to the fibers in your body or the muscle tissue in your body. Myalgia referring to pain, meaning you have muscle pain. Okay? You didn't need a doctor to tell you that.
Right.
You knew you had muscle pain. You knew you hurt all over. Okay? But the question is, why? That's what we want to know. Doctor says, I don't know. We don't know. Here's it. Here's some drugs for your symptoms. Here's the antidepressants to deal with it. And send you out there. Right? But what we understand with these conditions, generally, when people present with these types of symptoms, is there is some underlying immune dysfunction that is taking place. If we can get the immune system to function again the way it is supposed to function optimally, then we can see improvement in these symptoms, just as we've seen in these wonderful testimonials that we've seen here today. All right? So we can go out there and have something like inForce, and I'm going to talk to you in a bit about how inForce works. We can use a product like that to help boost and change the immune system in these people where it's not functioning the way it's supposed to. Right? This is what I do. I run all kinds of labs. I look, I find where the immune system dysfunctions are, and we get certain things to change the immune system. All right? So, inForce. inForce has the ability to work on certain cells in the body. Now, these cells are cells that are part of our immune system. Now, our immune system gets very, very complicated. All right? I'm going to tell you a few things now. This is not what I want you going down and sitting to, when you're talking to somebody, introducing them to the business of what you want to tell them, all right? Because you'll get confused yourself and you'll confuse them. But what I want to do is I want you to understand. I want you to hear it, just so you understand that there is an actual mechanism in the way that inForce is working. This isn't something where we say, we don't know how this works. We have these great, wonderful testimonials of people up here, but we don't really know what we're doing, right? That's not the case. We know what's going. We have 400 studies from top universities and research centers around the world, okay, that show its effectiveness, right? Not too many products can do that. In ingredients, when I look at things for the immune system and changing people's immune system, if I find a substance that has 6 or 7 research studies that are good research studies that show the effectiveness of a substance, we call that excellent research to support the action of that substance. Okay? We're not talking about 6 or 7 studies. We're talking over 400 studies. Okay? There's nothing out there like it. All right? So if we look at our body has what we call T helper cells. T helper cells or Th0 cells are cells of our immune system that are kind of like our stem cells. If you've heard about stem cell research and things like that, these are stem cells in nature of where they can differentiate into different types of cells. Okay? And so that's what our body basically makes. And basically, as many of those cells as we have, that's going to be the entire amount of immune cells we can make. We can't make more than that basic stem cell or Th0 cells that we have. Now, those cells will differentiate into cells called Th1 cells and Th2 cells and T regulatory cells and T suppressor cells and natural killer cells, cytotoxic T cells, B cells, all these different types of immune cells, those will differentiate into. All right? So what happens to a lot of people is, one, they can't make enough of these Th0 cells. The immune system is generally suppressed. Okay? That can happen for many different reasons. One of it can be just genetics in nature. Some of that can be because our body has been bombarded by something. We've been attacked by something. Maybe we've gotten a viral infection and we're losing the battle to it. I kind of like to go and use the example of World War II. All right? And I always say, why did the Germans lose the war? Okay? And the ultimate answer to that is attrition. All right? What happened when the U.S. and the Soviets were marching down on Berlin, are you aware that they were fighting 13 and 14-year-olds? Because that's all that was left for the German army to bring up and fight. There was no one left. Okay? That happens in your own immune system. Your own immune system is like your army, your personal army. Okay? And if you're the general of your army, you got to make sure that your army is strong. Okay? So your immune system goes and activates against something. Maybe it's a virus you get. Maybe it is mold that you're exposed to in your house. Maybe it's a bacterial infection, like we hear so much now talked about, like MRSA. If you've heard about MRSA, which is Mycelium staph-resistant aureus, it's an antibiotic-resistant staph infection. All right, and you can't get rid of this. People get this, and you can't get rid of it. I have lots of patients that come to me with MRSA who are looking to change their immune system in order to get rid of it. I had a gentleman who came to me who was taking antibiotics for 3 years to get rid of his MRSA infection. Okay? And what we did was we worked on boosting his own immune system in order to deal with it, and he was able to get rid of it. After 3 years of being on heavy duty, even IV antibiotics to get rid of it. But the problem was his army inside was no good. So it didn't matter how much antibiotics we threw out of it, his immune system was so suppressed that it would just keep reinfecting and reinfecting. So when we look at our immune system can get in a battle against something like, one of these things that I mentioned. And it will attack it, and attack it, and attack it, but maybe it starts to lose the battle. And we start to see our immune cells in numbers go down and down and down. Just like the Germans watched their number of troops go down and down and down and eventually lose the war. And that's what happens to us. We lose our army, we lose the war, and now whatever is in our body that is attacking us, whether it's a virus or a mold or bacteria or whatever it may be, has won. Right? And we can't get rid of it. This is what inForce does. inForce comes in and takes that number of Th0 cells that we have, and it boosts them up and makes them stronger. So we have more of them to fight. If you're in a battle, do you want a lot of people standing behind you, or just a few people standing behind you to fight a battle? You want a lot of people, right? So we want to do something to get our immune system, the number of cells in it, up. Okay, the more immune cells we have, the better off we're going to be at fighting anything that either we have already internally, or that is going to come and hit us, from time to time, whether we inhale it or it gets on our hands and we get it inside of us. Those cells, those Th0 cells, will differentiate into certain cells called cytotoxic T cells, natural killer cells. I mean, this sounds like, if you were in a battle, does this sound like something you want on your side?
Yeah.
It's something I want on my side, all right? So they just sound like they would be good at fighting a battle, right? And they are. They are. And if we look at, like, natural killer cells, we know that natural killer cells are, internally, it's the cells that go and fight things like cancer, all right? That's what they do. And so they clean up dysfunctional cells in our body. So, we want to have those types of cells that are in our body and functioning because they help us to avoid different types of disease. That's our front line fighting our battles. We also have cells in our body called B cells that make antibodies, if you've ever heard about, like, making antibodies against something. We have those cells. We also have T regulatory cells. T regulatory cells are kind of like cells that I equate them to the conductor of an orchestra. So if we see the conductor of an orchestra isn't actually playing the music. The conductor of the orchestra is sitting there overseeing all the different musical instruments out there and making sure that they're doing their job when they're supposed to. This is what the T regulatory cells do to our immune system. They oversee all the cells of our immune system, making sure that every part of our immune system is doing what it is supposed to be doing. Right? But they don't actually fight anything, but they're making sure that the immune system is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Then we have things like T suppressor cells. T suppressor cells. Anybody here ever watch a boxing match? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. So if we look at a boxing match, we have a referee in the boxing match. And the referee is there because if you put two boxers in a ring and you don't have a referee, it's only going to be a one-round fight. Okay? They can go ding, ding, ding on that bell all you want. The boxers are going to keep hitting themselves. So as soon as the bell goes ding, 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 the referee steps in and separates the two boxers so that the boxers stop fighting, go back to the corners. That's what T suppressor cells do.